Welcome to this episode of Chattin With Staxx. I'm your host, Bill Staxx, and today I got Chris.
Like they wanted to know because some families, when people die, they don't want them being buried as Hell's Angels. They're not in the same, But then there's like the Hell's Angels cemeteries, and like in when I went to Dago, a bunch of Hell's Angels are all buried there with headstones. There's one in Northern California, different spots, and that's but they asked, to write out a will, because if you didn't have a will, it'd be a power struggle if you'd been a Hell's Angel for a long time and the Hell's Angels want to bury you and your family wants to bury you, you know? And I would have to say that lucky I didn't die, but I don't think that my family would have wanted me being buried as a Hell's Angel. You know what I mean?
You don't think so?
No. Well, I lived in Wisconsin.
Especially if you passed away due to the club's whatever you were involved with, they probably would be upset, right?
Oh, for sure. Oh, for sure. Yeah. Yeah, for sure. I remember after I was out of the club, I talked to an old member in Washington, and we just had a little conversation. And he's like, "I'm a lifer, you know. This is all I got left. This is all I know." And that's that. Some people like you see members where they're members. They grew up that way, and I want to say that's more like in like California where the clubs got a really established foothold, you know. Uh New York, Ohio, California. I mean, I'm sure there is all over, but they've been around. Nebraska, Massachusetts, Connecticut, Bayou.
Yeah.
They've been around for a while. Especially over in Bridgeport. Those guys have been around for a while. I think they used to be the Grateful Dead. Was the name
Yeah.
of the club they used to be?
Bridgeport, yeah.
Yeah, yeah. And you know what? There was a guy that I got to meet when he first got out of prison. That was original Bear. What a good guy. You know what I mean?
I
Like,
remember Bear. I met him too.
yeah, I was fortunate, and the one thing I look at my experience in Hells Angels, I've been fortunate to spend some time with some like truly not just being in the motorcycle club, like what they've done outside, like living legends. You know what I mean? And
Yeah.
there's a lot of moving parts, and I'm grateful for that for sure. I've got to hang out with some rock stars and met some people, and it's just that like there's I wouldn't take back being a Hell's Angel ever. I mean, I don't talk to him that much, because our lives are changed. But my old boss in Rockford in the Nomads, Pulley, that dude's, he was out in bad standing for a long time, and he finally got his status changed. And like was a great Hell's Angel, great leader, good, you know what I mean, like passionate, like, and love to have fun, you know, just a good. He was the guy that went on about. He brought back the henchmen,
Yeah.
yeah, the Hell's henchmen, and like one of the things he said, we're gonna ride our motorcycles, we're gonna go to parties, we're gonna hang out, we're gonna party and like go to work, do biker stuff. We're gonna be a motorcycle club. And Pulley's the kind of guy that, you know what? He's a man. Nobody's going to tell him what to do, but he does it in a way with respect, and like he stood his ground. He's never been, his story about like being out bad, whatever, like that's his story. But he got a raw deal, and
He
what's
was
crazy.
around during the war, right? When everything was happening in Chicago, and
Yeah, yeah, he's an original Chicago member. Yeah,
did he?
you
He
know.
came. He came from the Hell's Henchmen and went
Yep,
to
he
the
was a
Angels.
henchman. Yeah, yep, henchman, and went to the Angels. That's why he brought him back. And I think they dropped Hells and they just went with henchmen because Pulley still wants to be friends with the Hells Angels, and I think they have a good relationship, and he respects what they're doing. You know what I mean? As long as they respect him, he doesn't. He's a dude that just deserves the respect and calls it like it is. You
They got the
know.
same backpacks.
Uh yeah, I seen it. Yeah, it's similar. It's pretty. I think they digitalized it or like made it new or made it a newer patch, right? I'm not really sure how they're working that is. Um, but he started at Jimmy. It was called Loyalty and Respect for the longest time. You know, it was a gym only, and I want to say it was like this summer might be like their 14-year anniversary, maybe 15. I know that I can't remember exactly when they started, but he was a good leader. He really was. You know what? He takes the bullets per se, if that's what it is. And the one thing that was always funny about Pulley, right? And I guess he's the new and sensitive version, but when he tells you get ready, he means get ready because he's going to pound you. But he'll tell you first, right?
He'll tell you first.
Right?
You can
And
get ready.
yeah, it's coming, right? And I mean, if I had to describe him, the big bulldog that's in like the Bugs Bunny commercials, that's like big barrel chested with the like
Yeah.
that's him, right?
Have you seen him say that before? Get ready.
Oh yeah. The first time I went to their church, there was the guy, and he's like, I'm walking in there, and he's like putting some tape around his knuckles or whatever, and I'm like, what's going on? He goes, I gotta straighten something out. Dude walked in, he goes, get ready, and the guy goes, what? And he just pounded him, and you know what? The one thing he'll tell you in those situations, I'll just let everybody know if I say get ready, it's coming. Win, lose, or draw, it's coming. And that was, I respected the shit out of that. And he told me that I think they were down in Florida at the Sons of Silence, and he's like, and he was saying that the motorcycle clubs are trying to broker peace. You know,
The Sons of Silence in Florida?
yeah, yeah, they've been there for a long time.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're right outside Daytona. I remember I went to Daytona in like 90s, late 90s, and the Suns had they have a clubhouse out there. Yeah, they're in Florida.
I thought they were like towards Colorado region.
Colorado, uh, Iowa, I think, maybe Minnesota, North Dakota, South Dakota. I didn't really know a lot. I mean, I've seen some Suns, but I remember a guy, and Pee Wee would know who this dude is. He would come to his shop, and he had two little Chihuahua dogs that he would carry in his vest with him. That's the
Mm.
one thing I remember about him. But the Suns, they were like, I think they were pretty neutral or whatever.
They're
They
trying to
didn't.
pass some laws down there in Florida and to go against motorcycle clubs. So the best thing for them to do is to get together and stop all the killing and the craziness that's going on out there.
Yeah, I mean, it's 2026. You just can't do things the way that you used to be able to do.
Especially with this in everybody's hand.
A phone in the hand, fucking license plate reader, those cameras on every. I mean, there's cameras everywhere. I mean, like I seen this bike club, and I don't even know who it was. like trying to take another person's patch, and they all got helmets on, and they're hitting each other in the heads with their helmets on. It's like, this is the dumbest thing that I've ever seen in the gas station, right? Like, what are you guys thinking here? What did you actually accomplish? Nothing.
Like 30 different angles of the whole situation, right?
Yeah, and they're all like, "Well, we gotta." I mean, I will say this: like, when did 1% of bikers start wearing helmets?
I mean, some states have that law where you have to wear a helmet. Did you guys go around with no helmets in states where you were supposed to wear one?
No, you would have to wear them, but states that you don't have to wear one. Like, I grew up in Wisconsin, I don't even wear a helmet. And you know what? I do have a full face helmet, and I mean, a lot of people wear them. I hate wearing it. I hate it. It feels like I got a bowling ball on top of my head. It's just weird. But so, like, if it's not raining or cold, I'll like take my full face helmet or whatever. I just wear a skateboard helmet. Man, it sits right on top of your head. Just don't even have to strap. You keep the strap loose. It's black holes. It's comfortable. It's not a like parachute. Those half helmets. Those are terrible. I flunked my driver's test for a motorcycle when I was a kid because they were supposed to have a helmet on. And I showed up with my helmet in the saddlebag, and the instructor was sitting there right outside. When I showed up, he's like, "You flunk," you know. So I had to come back. But yeah, no, I don't. Teach Sean. I just not. I don't understand why people wear helmets on pedal bikes. I guess it's safety, maybe not. Sure, right? I guess. It's your day to die, it's your day to die. Whether you got a helmet on or whatever you got going on, it's just the way that it's gonna go.
I don't
right?
want my body to be crushed and my head intact. Absolutely not, man.
No, I don't want to be blown into a tube in a wheelchair, right? And
No.
the real reason why I don't wear a motorcycle helmet is when I was a little kid, we had this friend of my family that had a motorcycle, and he was a really cool dude. Like, he gave me a ride as a kid on a motorcycle, right? And they lived in Wisconsin. And I want to say like 77, 75. Our capital, they flooded like all the way out to the interstate, like hundreds of thousands of bikes came here to protest wearing helmets, right? So Wisconsin repealed the helmet law. Well, he moved to Illinois, and he got hit on his motorcycle, and the helmet decapitated him and like cut his throat right here. And that was the first funeral that I ever went to as a kid. And they had an open coffin. Don't ask me why.
Wow.
But I was probably like, I don't know, 5, 6 years old, 7 years old. And I saw that. And whatever reason that made a mental note. And it's like, I'm not wearing a helmet. I'm not going out getting my head cut off by a helmet. And they're like, well, if he wouldn't have been wearing it, he would have been. You can't say that because you don't know. You don't know. Nobody knows.
So what? He got hit with such force that the helmet on his head just.
I think he got hit and he went back, and the helmet like cut his throat like that right there, decapitated him. And like, they were family friends. I remember his wife kept his motorcycle in the garage for years. She couldn't, They moved to Illinois away from their family, and it happened like within like the first, right when they got down there. Yeah. And so from that point forward, that's just what like, it's like, I think there's a memo. Like, so my kid gets into an accident on his bike. He's 10, 9 maybe. And I take him to the emergency room. The front wheel falls off, and he dings his face up. And I'm getting a lecture in the emergency room about this helmet. And the whole time I'm thinking to myself, the helmet wouldn't have saved the reason why we're here. So what's the lecture for? The helmet's like, unless he was wearing like a full face helmet on his pedal bike at 9 years old, like, and yeah, I mean, I have, maybe since COVID, I've never seen so many people. It's like the town that pedal bikes and motorcycles, like the helmet industry put out a thing, and they expired on top of it.
What? The helmets expire?
Yeah. Helmets expire. So do car seats. Never knew that either, but yeah.
Yeah, I know that.
Try to give somebody a used car seat, right? Like, what makes it expire?
I don't know.
Yeah, I mean,
The
The
age of
plastic.
the plastic, maybe? I don't know. The age of the
So
plastic.
is the bumper on your car expired? You can't drive that either because it's the same plastic, right?
Yeah. I
You
mean,
know,
the
you know.
buckle on your seatbelt, does that expire too?
Dude, I don't wear a seatbelt. I get one of them seatbelt extenders and I stick it in there. If seatbelts save lives, the fine would be more than $10. Seatbelts are just a reason to pull people over. And one thing that being said, one of the things that we used to have a card and it said in the Hells Angels, like the one thing that was preached, like if everybody took their right to a trial as an American, people would stop arresting people for stupid shit because the courts would be so backlogged, but people get lazy. You know what I mean? They pay their speeding tickets. They don't. It's the easy way out.
Yeah.
And here I'm saying that I'm in the federal court system, and I took a plea because I was the only one on my case, and it was if I was convicted, it was 10 years.
Let me
And
ask you this. What's it like for a Hell's Angel to go to prison?